Hammurabi did not go far enough. Draco did not go far enough. I'm Pfizer did not go far, and it's not far enough anymore. It's not far enough. It's not far enough. No, no.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to Burn Pile, episode 39. Can you believe it? 39 episodes in. I wanted to start with a little rant about TikTok. I don't think that I shared this yet. I made a TikTok account. I had one associated with this podcast, but I posted twice and never really used it. But I made one associated with another number, not to post anything, just to look at it because, you know, there's so much shit on TikTok. You know, everything kind of funnels into TikTok, even though I'm not really the TikTok personality type. I'm the X and Twitter type and the Substack type. Like I don't really care about visuals. I was never into Instagram. I love YouTube, but YouTube's like long form for me. It's mostly second screen content. I like having my phone in my pocket playing like like a Joe Rogan podcast on a YouTube app, like not the official one, but a better one. And then if something, visually interesting comes up, I can take my phone out of my pocket and look at it, because the video's there. That's the kind of thing that I use YouTube for. So, I'm not a short form video guy. Short form videos aren't going to be it for me, but everything's on TikTok. So why not? I decided I'd try TikTok out, and I had it for about 3 weeks, and something very disturbing happened. So I was getting, and I knew this from the little bit I'd used Instagram before, like I was getting lots of like sexy girls dancing type recommendations. And I was getting a healthy mix of that and like fake AI news articles, like news articles that, not articles, little like just fake news videos, like a fake headline and a fake video. And the video is AI generated, and some guy in India is shitting these out. They got these guys living like 1,000 of them, like rats in like a house somewhere, and they're just shitting these out onto the Western internet and trying to make some cash. Whatever, I just ignored those. And then something very strange happened. I started getting ads, not ads, like I would always be in the recommended feed. I don't even know if there is a following feed. And I started getting my recommended. It was like, it started out with like teen girls, and then it was like kind of preteen girls. And they're not doing like sexy dances, but it's just all kind of like questionable. Like they're in like questionable, I don't know. It's just like nothing like pornographic, and not even anything you maybe wouldn't even see in like a catalog or something a long time ago, but just like it's sending me, sexy grown women in bikinis. So it doesn't think that I'm like a mom. So why is it sending me like an 11-year-old girl in like some kind of outfit with her makeup done, right? It's like, well, this isn't good. And then it kept kind of doing that. And it was getting, again, nothing pornographic, but it was just gross. So I actually started reporting them. It crossed a threshold where it was showing me that like all the time. And as soon as it happened, I started reporting them. So I reported and I figured, well, this algorithm's got me in this creepy thing. It's if I start reporting them, it'll get me out of that algorithm, right? It'll be like, oh, okay, this user's like, he's blocking and reporting like these accounts. But that didn't happen. So I blocked like 10 of them in like a row. And I'm talking within like 15 minutes I did this, of me seeing the first one. And before I blocked them, one of them I really didn't like at all. So I clicked on it, clicked on it, tapped on it, and went through, because they have, you tap on a TikTok profile, they could like external links and things. It had an external link, and this was really upsetting. It wasn't in English. I'm in a non-English speaking country, but it wasn't in this country's language either. I think it was in Chinese. Um, and there was like a sign up thing. Is like an external website with like, you know, not pornographic, but questionable photos of like 10, 11, 12-year-old girls. This external website had a like a newsletter sign up type thing, or maybe it was like a telegram or something. It was something really weird where I mean, the good version of this, what I'm hoping it was, and so I mean, I just reported all these. After I reported like 10 of them, I was still getting recommendations of these weird accounts, so I deleted TikTok and haven't been back since. It's fucked up. The good version of this would be that it's like entrapment, and they're trying to lure in people, and if you sign up for that Telegram group, if you sign up, put your email address in the newsletter or whatever, you go on some list and they try to take you down. That's what I would like to believe that it is. I think what it probably really is something much worse. I mean, to what extent could a normal person have their the normal things they're attracted to be manipulated by an algorithm like that, right? Like, I'm telling you, I saw it. I got recommended it, like, and within 15 minutes, I deleted the app after reporting them all. But how many people are just like, that's weird at first, and then they keep getting recommended it, keep getting recommended it, keep getting recommended it, and then 6 months later, they're jerking off to little girls. Uh, that's pretty dark. And who would benefit from that? And who would allow an algorithm to take you from looking at like sexy grown up women to that, like to turn you into like something awful in a few months or whatever? Like, what is the point of that? It's very, very ugly. I haven't heard anybody else talk about this. Really, I haven't seen anyone else mention it. Um, I mean, I don't really think I did anything weird, but maybe this doesn't happen in the United States. I'm not in the United States. Maybe it is something that's confined to like Asia or something, so it just hasn't hit the internet over there. But it was weird. It was really fucked up, really gross. I'd like for there to be some kind of investigation on that. You'd think somebody would have blown that up or something, but yeah, I hated it. Have you ever heard of this isn't the way to talk in a podcast. Hey, have you ever heard of, hey listener, it's you and me. Have you ever, we're having a parasocial thing right now, but no, really, have you ever heard of there was a guy who had it was like a children's underwear company. It was boys underwear, right? I heard there was a long form New York Times article on this a couple years ago, and so this was in America. So it's a boys underwear company, and hey, boys need underwear, fair enough. But the whole thing was like, it was like 99% of their revenue came from selling their yearly like 100+ page glossy catalog. And the catalog had, boys modeling the underwear. And they barely sold any underwear. They made like millions and millions of dollars from selling the catalog. So I don't know. I think maybe some of what I was getting recommended, maybe they were like to some extent, maybe these were clothing companies. Again, the ones I saw were in like Chinese, so I don't exactly know, but uh that's not even a total cover, unfortunately. If it really turns out to be a children's clothing company. It's not totally a get out of jail free card there, because that's not a perfect answer either. That can be abused. Okay, well, that happened to me a couple weeks ago, but I don't think I mentioned it on the pod yet, and it really pissed me off. But what really pissed me off, even more than that happening, is I mentioned that to like a few people in my life, and they just kind of shrugged their shoulders. They're like, "Yeah, that's a little messed up." But I was really offended by this. I was like, "This is so horrific." Like they're turning normal guys into pedophiles with their algorithm. These damn Chinese. I mean, what the hell is going on? Isn't this fucked up? And the response from everybody around me was just like, "Ooh, yeah, that's gross. Yeah, you did the right thing to delete it." I mean, it's weird, right? It's more than weird. It's very upsetting. But nobody had a big reaction. Nobody cares. Of course, the algorithm would be training you to be a pedophile. I mean, what else are they training people to do? How many people? Like, I got into the pedophile algorithm. How many people got into the rape algorithm or the sell U.S. state secrets to Chinese agents algorithm? I mean, it seems like they're just you just watch normal videos for like a month or something, and then they try their op, and they're trying their op on like hundreds of millions of Westerners, right? And probably like well over a billion people all over the world. Maybe they're just having fun with it over there in China. All right, well, let's get to our first story. This is from the New York Post. This one made me giggle quite a bit. This one I was having a laugh at. Great headline. Surgeon obsessed with amputation porn has legs chopped off for $600,000 payday, says prosecutor. A surgeon with a, quote, sexual obsession for cutting off parts of his body had his own legs amputated as part of an insurance scam, officials in the UK said on Thursday. Dr. Neil Hopper, 49, submerged his own legs for 8 hours in a combination of ice and dry ice so they would have to be removed, while falsely claiming to his insurers that he had sepsis, prosecutor Nicholas Lee said. He admitted 2 counts of insurance fraud and 3 of possessing extreme pornography at Truro Crown Court, Southwest England, BBC News reported. Now, being a surgeon who's obsessed with chopping off body parts, who's kind of sexually motivated by chopping off body parts, that's actually, is it that bad? Is it that bad? I mean, being a surgeon, it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of studying. It's a lot of dedication. You've got to dedicate your life to this thing, right? It's not easy being a surgeon. It's the kind of thing you're going to need to be motivated for. It's a thing you're going to need something to animate you, right? You're starting with high school, got to get high grades, you're going to be doing pre-med. It's not going to be easy, right? You want to get into a good college, like you got it starting right in high school, right? Right around the time of sexual maturity is when it's going to come on. Being like, hey, some people, they can't stomach like a class where you watch like graphic medical things. Other people, like this guy, maybe hey, me, I couldn't step into a boxing ring, right? I couldn't stand there toe to toe with another man, get punched in the face. I couldn't do that. Punch someone in the face myself. I couldn't do that, right? But there's all kinds of people in the world. Mike Tyson, famously went on Joe Rogan and he said that when he was beating the shit out of guys in the ring, he got hard. It made his dick hard. All right? Did that make him a great boxer? It did, right? Now, is it that crazy to think that a surgeon whose job is to cut into people and cut things out of people, is it that crazy for him to be motivated by that as well? For him to say that he gets hard when he's cutting things out of people? Right? It's not that crazy. So that part I don't mind. If anything, if I were going in for a surgery and I found out that the doctor watches the surgery videos after he does them, he goes home and watches the tape and he jerks off, I'd feel like I was in good hands. Wouldn't you feel that way? I mean, it's these are human beings, folks. These aren't robots. I mean, I know everyone's saying they want surgery robots. I want that humanity. I want that, that skill from a human being. Someone who's got motivations that I can understand, who's not just some, AI demon cutting into my flesh. Somebody who, I'll say it. Okay, I'll say somebody who in that moment who loves me, frankly. I think I'd be in better hands. All right, let's continue with this. Just go on a little more. They've got a pretty cool picture of him with prosthetic legs. It's a great picture for this article because he has for those just listening, he has prosthetic legs and it looks real nasty and fucked up, like his legs have been cut off. But he's beaming. He's got like the biggest smile on his face. It's awesome. All right. The vascular surgeon had carried out hundreds of amputation operations on patients while working for the state-run National Health Service before having his own legs removed in 2019. It's funny because they had only said a surgeon in the beginning, and I had kind of forgotten that he actually was a surgeon who did amputations. But yeah, he actually was an amputation surgeon, which is awesome. Okay, Hopper's scam was motivated both by his, quote, sexual interest in amputation and greed, prosecutor Lee said. Yeah, that does kind of ruin it. That is the fly in the ointment of this story, because you want it to be all motivated by the sex, but when there's a money element, it would be like if Dahmer was like, he did all this weird stuff, but then he also like robbed his victims. Like it wouldn't take away from his legend that much, but it does remove a little mystique. You don't want that to be part of it at all. You want it to just be love of the game when someone does something fucked up. But anyway, we've got more from the prosecutor here. His motivations were a combination of obsession with removing parts of his own body and a sexual interest in doing so, he told the judge. It seems to have been a long-standing ambition of his, Lee said, adding that Hopper also, quote, enjoyed, end quote, the media attention after his operation led to multiple TV appearances. Investigations into Eunuch Maker, an extreme body mutilation pornography website, where Hopper had purchased videos, led to the once respected doctor's arrest in March 2023. Hopper had suffered from body dysphoria since childhood and saw his feet as an unwelcome extra and a persisting, never-ending discomfort, said defense attorney Andrew Langdon. Yeah, now this is dysphoria, and here's body dysphoria where society is reacting to it correctly. right? What he's doing here, it is the same as like gender people. It's the same as wanting your penis chopped off. Only this one, because it's feet, everybody says, well, everybody says that's too much. Everybody's on the same page because it's feet. If he wanted to chop his dick off, he'd be a hero still, right? Oh god, am I Joe Rogan now? Am I doing 2016 material in 2025? Sorry, but you know what I mean. It's feet, so there's no social signaling you can do to be like, you're not going to gain any social status by pretending that a guy chopping off his feet for sexual gratification is a good thing. There's no social status to be gained. There's no college campus in the world where you say people who chop off their feet they should have the right to do that. They should be allowed to do it as children. Parents who don't want their children to chop off their feet are bad. Like anywhere you go in the world, there's absolutely no social status to be gained from that position. So everyone in the world is on the same page. The guy who chopped off his feet, he shouldn't have done that. That's what we all think. Except for me. I mean, I think that's actually, look, that's not that bad. Right? I'm not saying you should do it, Like, if you need to chop off your feet to get off, I think maybe you should. There are monasteries, you should just reject, if that's your sexuality, you should just reject sexuality entirely. You should consider celibacy. That's kind of the path that you need to be on, right? If you know that your desires are not going to lead to your desires could not possibly lead to a healthy procreation, right? Then maybe it's time to just live with a group of men, isolated from everything else, and spend your time in prayer and fasting and simple work like that. That's probably the path for you. But I feel that way about everything. I feel that way about, like, this is the same as being gay to me. I was making a joke. It's the same as being transgender, which obviously it is. There's the physical removing of something, but this is like wanting to get your feet chopped off. Is the same as wanting to get fucked in the ass by another man. It's insane. It's fucking insane. You need to, I'm not saying you lose all your rights, but you need to get to a monastery. Okay. His extreme pornography offenses were connected to the videos he had purchased online, none of which included children. The judge was told, "Hey, judge, listen, I know it sounds bad, but these were all adult feet. Okay? You were probably thinking they were children's feet. No, I'm not a monster. These were adult feet. And in the end, my own feet. Judge." Marius Gustafsson, who ran the Eunuch Maker website, was sentenced to at least 22 years in prison at the Old Bailey in London last year for leading an extreme body modification ring. Hopper's fraudulent claims from 2 insurance firms totaled more than £466,000, or about $625,000 US, which he spent on an RV, home improvements, and a hot tub, along with gifts to his wife and other building works. Lee said, was his wife on board with the foot thing? How much did his wife know about the foot chopping desires? How much did she know? What did she agree to? How far along was she complicit in this? Would she be on top of him, riding him, and she's like, I'm gonna chop those fucking feet off. You're so disgusting. Or would they maybe they'd be in like a dark room and like he'd wear like black socks and like he'd pretend he didn't have feet and she'd be like, "Oh, you can't even fuck me. You don't even have feet, you filthy little footless little pig," or something like that. Do you think that's what was going on? This is the stuff they don't get into in these articles. These articles are kind of useless sometimes. I mean, the New York Post, to be fair, the New York Post does try to have a little fun. They do. I'll give them that. They do. They get a little wacky sometimes and they try to have a little fun, but it's not the way I would do it. And if I were the judge, this was what I would do too. They bring this case before you, insurance fraud. He bought an RV and he chopped his feet off, and he's looking at illegal footage of people getting their limbs chopped off, and he chops off people's limbs as a surgeon who does amputations. I mean, I guess the problem with that profession is maybe your foot is injured. Maybe another surgeon would say, we can save that foot," and he says, let's just chop it off. What the hell? We're here. Why don't we chop it off? Right? That's the fear with a guy like this. But anyway, if I were the judge, I'd be getting to the bottom of the wife question. How into not having feet was the wife? You know, some guys have a foot fetish. That's one that it's one of those ones that was like flirting with becoming mainstream, but now there's so much backlash against pornography. I guess that's never going to make the cut to mainstream. This guy's kind of the opposite of that, right? Um, well, that's all I really want to say about this. I mean, who cares? You want to chop your feet off? Chop your feet off. Have people who have their feet chopped off come read to kindergartens about how it's okay to chop your feet off. Encourage kids to chop their feet off without their parents knowing. Whatever. Who cares? Go nuts. All right, let's do Malcolm Gladwell. Why don't we do another New York Post article? Just because I hate Malcolm Gladwell. This one's called. This is by Douglas Murray. He's a jackass too. I didn't even realize it was by Douglas Murray. That's the guy who thinks Israel should murder as many babies as they possibly can, and that it's a grave injustice if they don't. He's the guy who debated Dave Smith and said that Dave said Israel should stop blowing up hospitals, and Douglas said they're not blowing up enough hospitals. And this was a debate on the Joe Rogan Experience. I would have cut this if I'd realized he wrote this, but hey, the enemy of my enemy. Okay, New York Post article by Douglas Murray. Coward Malcolm Gladwell admits he lied about trans athletes and reveals an important truth about our modern culture. I hate Malcolm Gladwell. I hate Malcolm Gladwell. I read like a chapter or two of one of his books when I was like real young. I think I was still in school. I don't remember exactly the age I was. But even then I thought, just this can't be. He's writing about these things and it's like it just seems so fake. Like what he was talking about just seemed like bullshit. I don't even remember which book that I read, but all his books are like The Tipping Point, how to explain these things that happen in history in retarded ways, or like David and Goliath, or like just pop. I don't know. Would you even say pop sci, pop sociology, pop history? I don't know. Just total horse shit. And it really pisses me off because we live in a world where you can just order college textbooks. With a little Googling, you can figure out like what is the best like 101 level class being taught in the US about like whatever subject. And you can see what their textbook is, and you can order that textbook and just read that. And then obviously if you want to keep going, you can keep going. So if you were interested in like sociology or like how, so whatever incident or whatever, getting these little like pithy little stupid stories that are sold in airports by some weird random guy with no qualifications who's not that interesting and not that charismatic. Like it sucks. It just fucking sucks. He sucks so much. It's the same with like Guns, Germs, and Steel, or that new, relatively new Sapiens book, where it's like it's just some random Jewish guy, and he's got it all figured out, and he's going to tell it to you in like really simplistic language that you're going to be able to sit and read in an afternoon, and then you'll have this enlightenment about the whole world with this like little book that everyone's going to read. And it's like it's just disgusting. It fills me with so much rage. I know it's completely irrational, but I also know that I'm right. I just know that these guys all suck ass. All their ideas are bad. The people who read their books suck. They suck. You suck. Not me. Only I am an enlightened genius. Okay, let's go on here. Could you be persuaded to say something you knew not to be true? Most of us would say absolutely not, never. Not me. I would say I definitely could. But the evidence is that even a small amount of social pressure can make grown adults say things they know to be untrue. Take the case of Malcolm Gladwell. The Canadian born author has had most of the good fortune that life can bring. His received opinions have gained him lucrative positions at liberal publications. His books have become international bestsellers. And that is true. So, like I said, I don't live in the US. In the city where I live, there is a foreigner book exchange for people to exchange books in English, because you can get English books at bookstores here, but it's a bit of a pain in the ass. A lot of people just order from Amazon. Shipping's expensive, so there's just a little used book sale kind of thing on Facebook. Every other fucking listing is this Malcolm Gladwell guy and his fucking shitty bullshit piece of garbage books. I fucking hate it. I hate it. But actually, I love it because when I see that, if a person, they've got a bunch of really big, thick books that look really difficult to read, and I see them, they've got like 100 books listed on that group, and they've got all these intimidating books that I haven't read yet, right? But then if I see one Malcolm Gladwell book in there, I can say, oh, I'm smarter than them. And that part I do like. I do like that. That I need that, actually. I need that. His shtick might be to say banal things in ways that appear spicy and new, but he has made a very good career of it and been lauded by his peers. Yet this week he admitted that he is a coward. Appearing on a podcast called The Real Science of Sport, Gladwell referred to the vexing question of born males competing in women's sports. For most of us, this was always a no-brainer. It was obvious that someone who has been born a male, gone through male puberty, and has all the physical advantages of being a man should be kept well clear of women's sports. What about someone who was born with 2 feet and for sexual reasons decided to remove them? Should that person be allowed to play sports? Let's think about that. Otherwise, women's sports cease to be women's sports. Thousands of young female athletes would train hard for no reason, and women's sports would simply become a division of men's sports for men who can't succeed against their male peers. Gladwell says he finds the arguments for men competing in women's sports to be unconvincing. But at a panel in 2022, he said that men should indeed be allowed to compete in women's sports. To his credit, he admits why he said what he said just 3 years ago. He said that he felt cowed at the time. Now he is, quote, ashamed of my performance, end quote, on the panel in question. He also admitted that he approached the discussion in a dishonest way. All right, well, it was just interesting that a normie guy like Malcolm Gladwell now has to engage with reality a little bit more. I will ask you if you think that if Kamala Harris had won, would we be in a position where a figure as mainstream as Malcolm Gladwell was now saying something like this? I do wonder about that. And for all of Trump's pro-Israel stuff and the Epstein list stuff, the stuff that kind of breaks my heart, what he's been doing lately, it's the equivalent of like the 80s movie where he's outside my bedroom window with the boombox playing a love song right now. He's got did you see this thing where they were just launching missiles at Venezuelans now? That was unbelievable. It's if you haven't seen it, you've got to. I don't have it queued up. This is an audio podcast anyway, but the video it's just a little speedboat, it looks like, out in the ocean where these Venezuelans, I guess it's loaded up with drugs, and Trump blew it up, just shot it with a missile and blew it up and posted the video on Twitter. And and then the worst people in the world were saying, "Oh, but you're supposed to arrest them," and and the Coast Guard's supposed to like seize their, they're saying all this kind of gay bullshit. And when Trump's government did that, I mean, he was kind of getting his groove back with me a little bit. That's pretty cool. And then people were saying, well, what if they're just migrants? Yeah, what if they're just innocent migrants coming in illegally on a boat? What if they didn't have drugs? What if they were just coming for a better life in there? It's better. If they were just coming for a better life in America and we're shooting them with missiles now, that's better. That's even cooler. As long as we're doing it for America, not for Israel. That's the problem. I'm not some fag who just likes Palestine for brown people reasons. I want our country's resources to go to our country, not for some ethno-state for an ethnicity I'm not a part of. Okay? There's a huge difference. Also, Trump named the Department of Defense. The headline kind of was, I actually had to cut a story because of this. The headline sort of was, Trump renames Department of Defense Department of War. But that's not exactly what happened if you look at it. The Department of Defense is still the Department of Defense. It's just like on the stationery. It's going to also say Department of War or something. So it's a little gayer than they're calling it. We're not getting what we want, which of course would be a war of conquest in South America. We're not getting that yet. Not yet. But maybe it's coming. One can hope. Also, I did see that Greenland, or what was it, the Danish government called in the U.S. diplomats to complain about American psyops going on in Greenland to influence a vote like a referendum for them to be independent, so they could be on the path to be in the 51st state. So we didn't give up on that dream. We didn't invade like I hoped we would, but we are doing psyops. We have a TikTok algorithm. We worked it out when Trump restored TikTok, when Trump saved TikTok when he first came back to office. Remember, TikTok was being closed down. Trump got inaugurated and saved TikTok. I believe that part of the deal was the Chinese, they could keep all their psyop algorithms against Americans. They could turn us all into pedophiles, but they had to put in a psyop there to make people in Greenland want a referendum. I think I'm pretty sure that's the story, um, but I guess we're going to keep an eye on that one. All right, let's move on to another part of the world. Then let's go to Australia. Speaking of countries that suck ass, let's look at Australia. The sunscreen scandal shocking Australia, the world's skin cancer hotspot. This is from the BBC. Like many Australians, Rach grew up terrified of the sun in the country with the highest rates of skin cancer in the world. I wouldn't think that's true. Wouldn't you think like Israel would have the highest rates of skin cancer in the world? Because they're all Europeans and they're just randomly dropped into the heart of the Middle East. Wouldn't they have higher skin cancer than everyone else? That's what I would think. Australians? I kind of don't believe it. It's kind of questionable. Hey, did you know like Gal Gadot, the she's that Israeli actress. That last name Godot, it sounds like wow, like that's really like not a European name. Wow, it's really different. That's a real like Hebrew name. I guess she's like really, really super Jewish, and that's like a real like old Jewish name. And it's actually just like totally made up. So like a bunch of the people who moved to Israel like decades ago, and and I guess some of the founders of the country and everything, they they do something where they Hebraicize their name. They like make it Hebrew. So her actual last name is like Greenblatt or something. And it's just like her grandparents changed it from like so to LARP as if they're not like from New Jersey. They like they're changing their names. It's like I don't know. It's like me changing my name to like Dragon Master or something. It's unbelievable. Anyway, how do they not have the highest skin cancer rates? That doesn't make sense to me. But apparently it's Australia. Australians getting skin cancer, just like anything negative happening to an Australian, is really funny and is a good thing for the world. But anyway, let's continue because this is an interesting story. Her childhood was characterized by the infamous no hat, no play rule that is commonplace in Australian schools, 90s advertisements that warned the sun would give you cancer, and sunscreen tubes that stood guard at every door in her home. It made the now 34-year-old the kind of person who religiously applies sunscreen multiple times a day and rarely leaves the house without a hat. So she was shocked when doctors found skin cancer on her nose during a check last November, something they said was abnormal given her age and ray dodging regime. Though technically classified as a low grade skin cancer, a basal cell carcinoma, it had to be surgically removed, leaving the Newcastle mom with a scar just below her eye. I was just confused and I was a little bit angry because I was like, are you kidding me? Rach, who asked that her surname not be used, told the BBC. I thought I'd done all the right stuff and it still happened to me. That rage grew when she learned the sunscreen she had been using for years was unreliable and, according to some tests, offered next to no sun protection at all. Now, that's a fun prank to play on the Australians. I like that. That's pretty good. It's a sunny country, lots of white people there. You say, look, you're going to get skin cancer. The sun is super dangerous. Even when you're a little kid, it's hats or no playground time. This is really serious. Everybody needs sunscreen all the time. And then you sell them sunscreen that simply doesn't work. That's a pretty cool gag. All right, let's read on to some of the testing here. This I did have a giggle at this. All these all these Australians just cooking away. Independent analysis by a trusted consumer advocacy group has found that several of Australia's most popular and expensive sunscreens are not providing the protection they claim to, kicking off a national scandal. There's been a massive backlash from customers, a probe launched by the country's medical watchdog, multiple products pulled from shelves, and questions raised about the regulation of sunscreen around the globe. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Let's see. Um, so there's this group that tested the sunscreens, right? The group tested 20 sunscreens in an independent, accredited Australian lab, finding 16 out of 20 did not meet the SPF or skin protection factor rating listed on the packet. Ultraviolet's lean screen SPF 50 plus mattifying zinc skin screen, a facial product that Rach says she used exclusively, was the quote most significant failure, end quote, identified. It returned a result of SPF 4, something that shocked the group so much it commissioned a second test that produced a similar reading. So, it doesn't work. A bunch of Australians, but aren't they one of those countries that's just getting replaced by like Indians and Chinese anyway? I mean, aren't all the white people going to be gone? Right? Like a 34-year-old woman from Australia, doesn't she like vote for all the white people in Australia to be destroyed? I mean, isn't she probably doing like a land acknowledgement before she talks? If you're a white person in Australia and you do a land acknowledgement, then aren't you kind of saying like I deserve skin cancer? Aren't you saying I deserve skin cancer for that's the curse I bear to be on this land that I don't belong on? And I'm talking about Australia. I'm not, this isn't an anti Semitic thing. This is not, I'm not talking about that other country. I'm talking about Australia. Okay, you can't say I was talking about something else. I'm talking about Australia. I mean, if they don't belong there, if they live on stolen land and they acknowledge that all the time, then how can they expect to not get cancer from all the sunshine that's there when they got that white devil skin? What are they supposed to do? All right, well, let's move on. We'll do one more. We've got some greatest ally news here. AP reporting calls into question why and how Israel attacked a Gaza hospital. Why it's always a hospital with them? It's are there other is am I wrong? Am I wrong? And actually, Gaza, it's all hospitals there. There's no residential, there's no business, there's no cafes. It's just they don't have any other buildings. I mean, what is going on? It's every damn time. Every damn time it's a hospital with these people. I mean, occasionally on my news feed, it's like they blew up a hospital, they blew up a hospital, they shot at a Christian church, they blew up a hospital, they blew up a hospital, a nun was killed. What is going on? There's nothing else. There's no sunscreen factory to attack. There's nothing else. It's just a fucking hospital every time. All right, Associated Press reporting into an Israeli attack on a Gaza Strip hospital that killed 22 people, including 5 journalists, raises serious questions about Israel's rationale for the strikes and the way they were carried out. Among those killed was Mariam Daga, who worked for AP and other news organizations. Serious questions about Israel's rationale for the strikes. I have no questions about what their rationale is. What do you fucking think that their rationale is? The rationale. Israeli forces struck a position well known as a journalists' gathering point because, a military official said, they believed a camera on the roof was being used by Hamas to observe troops. The official cited, quote, suspicious behavior, end quote, and unspecified intelligence. But the only detail given was that there was a towel on the camera and the person with it, which the army interpreted as an effort to avoid identification. AP has gathered new evidence indicating the camera in question actually belonged to a Reuters video journalist who routinely covered his equipment with a white cloth to protect it from the scorching sun and dust. The journalist, Hussam al Masri, was killed in the initial strike. So it's hot out there. There's sand. It's just like that guy says in Star Wars. There's sand gets in everything, so I have to go on a killing spree. Uh, it's hot. There's sand. You put a cloth over yourself and your camera, and Israel says he's trying to conceal his identity, and then they shoot a missile at you. They not only kill you, but they killed 22 other people, including 4 other journalists. Uh, and all of this happened at a hospital. That's the way. Yeah, what could the rationale be? I mean, I'm sure the rationale isn't to kill journalists and do an ethnic cleansing, right? I know it couldn't be that because every Jewish person who's an American media figure says over and over again that like acting in the best interest of your ethnic group is bad, and that we can all get along, and that multiculturalism is the thing to do. So it can't be an ethnic cleansing that they're trying to cover up. It can't be that they're blowing up hospitals because they consider their enemies less human than they are. It can't be that. It just can't be because they for my whole life I've seen all the movies that they make and all the TV shows, and everything they say is that they love multiculturalism. So I know it's not that, but it is a mystery what the rationale could be. It's a real mystery. Okay. The evidence calls into question why Israeli forces went through with the strike. Witnesses say Israel frequently observed the position by drone, including about 40 minutes before the attack, giving it an opportunity to correctly identify al Masri. All right, I'm bored with this. Let's see if I was lying about Gal Gadot. Let's see if that half remembered thing I just repeated, if that's slander, if that's true. Uh, Let me see. What was Gal Gadot's original family name? Here, I'm just going to ask AI. Let's see. Let's see if I was right or if that's just a vicious lie. Greenstein. Gal Gadot's original family name was Greenstein. Her parents, Michael and Irit, changed their surname to Gadot before her birth as a common practice in Israel to Hebraize it. That's the word. I tried to say this word, but I said something that sounded super racist before. Um, Hebraize. Yeah. Did I say Hebraize? I hope I said Hebraize and not something much worse than that. Wow. Greenstein. if your parents' name was Greenstein, you gotta check that SPF on that thing. If you live in Israel and your parents' name was Greenstein, I don't care what they changed the name to. Okay, you've got to don't just trust the sunscreen you're buying. You got to put that sunscreen in a lab somewhere. You got to put that in a lab. You got to get that thing checked, okay? And the no hat, no play rule is also fully in effect. It's got to be. One of the weirdest guys that I ever met. He's Canadian, and he had dual Canadian Israeli citizenship. But he had gone to Israel as an adult, as like a young man when he grew up in Canada. He went to Israel. But then as I got to know him better, so I of course, and he mentioned being Jewish a few times. I just, that's what he told me, but then as I got to know him and the story got a little deeper, and I was like, oh, like, so you were Jewish, you were just allowed to go to Israel? Yeah, I was allowed to go to Israel. Eventually I could get citizenship, because I was Jewish. I could, oh, interesting, And but as I got to know him, it turned out his stepdad was Jewish. So he wasn't even ethnically Jewish. He was like, I don't know what he was, but his mom moved away, took him and his siblings. His mom met a Jewish guy. They got married. He has this Jewish stepfather, and then he I guess he claimed birthright or something, and then he eventually got Israeli citizenship, and he goes around calling himself a Jewish person. I don't know. I don't even know if he formally converted. I guess he did, but you can't just convert and go on birthright to Israel, right? They're not going to accept that. I think he kind of I think he lied about it. I'm pretty sure he I was like, well, you were allowed to do that with just your stepdad being Jewish? And he's like, well, you just say you have a Jewish parent, and they don't really, I guess they don't fact check it. Could I go on birthright? Birthright's that trip that they sponsor. If you're Jewish, you get an all expenses paid trip to Israel, and you have to go visit a Holocaust museum or something. You do an Israeli propaganda tour. I mean, I thought they'd be fact checking it. Do they not fact check it? I haven't really thought deeply about this guy and his story, but it always was weird to me that he had a stepdad. If they're letting having a stepdad be enough, they should really just let everybody do it. I don't know. What if I signed up for a birthright tour and I just said, and is it just a form? And they say who in your family was Jewish? And I just say, yeah, mom and dad both were. And then I can go? Is that how it is? There's no fact checking? I don't know. Very interesting stuff. All right, I'll stay away. If I do go, I'll let you guys know, and I'll stay away from any hospitals or anything like that. I'll stick to, I guess the safest places in the world are Holocaust museums, right? I think those don't get attacked. Okay, everybody. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Hammurabi did not go far enough. Draco did not go far enough. I'm Pfizer did not go far, and it's not far enough anymore. It's not far enough.